The year is 1979. After the mega hit that was Halloween, horror producers everywhere were scrambling to get in on the newly popularized slasher genre. This inspired puppet master Charles Band to get in on the action and produce a good film, and he did. And then never really did it again. This week, look out for Tourist Trap.
Every year, hundreds of young people travel the country and disappear. God help those who get caught in the tourist trap. Tourist trap, where beautiful young people looking for excitement are tricked.
And shut the f up, I'm gonna do my intro bit that I didn't do last time.
You gotta make it fast, too.
It's time for Spooky of the Week. It's my catchphrase. I didn't say it last time.
Oh, did you not say it last time?
Well, now both people who watch these videos will catch that reference.
All right, guys, we're not f***ing around this week. We're going straight to the movie. That's what you guys came here for. You don't come for us jerking off.
It's a hot movie. Everyone knows about it.
Everyone wants us to talk about it.
Everyone's been begging us to talk about it.
You'll probably notice the sound is better.
Yeah, we upgraded the studio.
We upgraded the studio because of all your reviews. We put all that money into making this place better.
You can see the effort.
So thank you all so much.
They haven't all fallen yet.
That's the reason why acoustic panels are so expensive is they're one use. So like you use them once and then they fall off.
Well, they absorb so much sound, they get too heavy and they fall.
They lock all the sound in. So it's like they get heavy.
Wait, it's all the bad sound they absorb and they make sure it comes crisply, to the world.
And it goes back out.
Spare no expense for our Patreons.
Patrons, please.
To the
Don't act like you don't have any.
I recommended Tourist Trap this week because I had never seen it. Kevin had talked to me about it. He like months ago, out of nowhere, he was just like, dude, I like this movie. I bought it on Blu-ray. It's called Tourist Trap. I didn't realize that it was a Puppet Master guy movie.
Charles Band.
Charles Band.
He's only involved. I don't think he directed it.
He produced.
He produced it.
I didn't realize that he was involved in the movie.
Charles Band, famous for all the famous doll movies that you've heard of besides
Doll Man.
Chucky.
Besides Chucky.
Besides Chucky, the most famous one.
yeah,
Besides Chucky
he's
and
famous
Annabelle
for
Dead
Doll
Silence.
Man.
Other than that, yeah, he's all of them.
Doll Man, which is one of the best movies ever made. If you put doll in the title, there's a good chance he made it because he has a super obsession with dolls, it seems like. I don't think he can do anything that isn't involving dolls, and it's a little sexual, or a lot sexual.
Honestly, less sexual than I thought it was going to be. I was kind of thinking...
Nipples on some of those dolls.
On the dolls?
On the doll.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying that it's for the doll stuff. It's like, it's
yeah.
clearly that's all he cared about. Get the titties out. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna see if the actress is okay with it. It's like, no, I don't want to see that. No, keep them in the water. Keep them in the water. I don't want to see. Cover them with leaves.
We're not laughing at your jokes. The panels keep falling by.
3 panels have fallen during your speech.
Because I was too loud, dude. There was so much bad sound. They fell.
They're not strong enough. I just thought the poster looked cool.
It does look cool. That's a
like,
cool ass.
And so I always saw that and I was like, oh, I should see that. Like, some people say it's good. Like, it doesn't have a bad score on IMDb. And I'm like, and it's a 70s horror movie and it's got a cool poster. Like, there's literally not a single reason in the world not to see it.
Saw the cover and I was like, oh, that's Full Moon Studios. I don't need to know anything else. There will be dolls in this movie.
I knew
Keegan
nothing.
was right.
I barely even knew the name. I kept being like, what is this movie called?
That is true.
They literally showed up.
I still honestly don't remember.
The main menu was up. The title was on there. It was this
movie's called
big.
Play Movie? You guys told me like the synopsis and stuff like when we decided that was going to be it. And I didn't remember any of it except for the fact that it was a 70s horror movie. And I was like, that's all I needed to hear. Don't tell me nothing else.
That was the biggest reason I chose it, was I was looking for something that had that 70s texture, because, we were watching a lot of more modern movies recently.
They sucked. I was pretty entertained by it. It's like, the thing we're always kind of looking for with Spooky of the Week, where it's like, throw it on Halloween time, put your arm around your best girl or guy.
We're very progressive.
Very progressive. It's not like a good movie. It's got a lot of predictable elements where you're kind of just like waiting for like that thing to happen, where you're like, I guess it's this, right? And it's like, they haven't given me anything else to go on, so it's like, I guess it's either this or something completely random. Yeah. And it's like, oh no, it is that character, But other than that, it's just like, it's got a bunch of like cool little creepy moments and stuff.
I liked it. I thought it was very fun. Like, it's a funny, fun movie. In a lot of ways, the comedic moments worked better than the horror moments. Because there are a lot of moments in the movie, like especially the first kill, where the timing is just perfect comedic timing.
Ma'am.
Like the house is like
The house
pranking
is,
him.
Yeah, the house is pulling a prank on him. And everything is just so well timed, and I was giggling gleefully the entire first scene.
It's very Evil Dead 1
Yes.
in that way. Like
Yes.
it's definitely still trying to be scary, but it does have this very sly, like weird, twisted sense of humor about it.
Yeah, like I was reminded a lot of the Evil Dead 2, the scene where the house is laughing with him.
Precursor to both.
Yeah.
By a couple years.
It's invented everything you like about horror movies.
There was several moments where like, oh, it's just like that. And we're like, that did come later. It's like, oh, that's true.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I think that it starts to drag. Like, it was only an hour and a half, but there's definitely a point where I was checking my watch a little bit, and I was like, okay, the fun moments got sparser towards the climax of the movie.
Well, I think that lends itself to the fact that there's certain things that need to be revealed in the plot, and you're kind of like, is it this? And it's like, it is that, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of feeling ahead of the movie a little
Yeah.
bit, and it will make it feel slower.
Yeah.
But overall, like, definitely, it feels like a movie that you would put on in the background of a Halloween party, and like you could half pay attention to the fun parts and just completely not pay attention to.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. And then go back to. I was just surprised constantly. like, I'm like, and
That one hit me. That was very spooky. I was like, who's behind me?
it's just like Tourist Trap. It's just like the
That
movie.
was like Tourist Trap. You know, without getting too much into spoilers, like the mystical elements of it, you weren't sure how far that went. Is it just a guy, like you were saying, like, is it just a dude who kind of does a bunch of creepy stuff, or is it legit like something spooky? Like,
He has magic powers. That's something that's revealed kind of halfway. The villain has magic powers. The way he makes the dolls, you're kind of like, oh, is it not magic powers? Is he just using like mechanics and trickery to do
I was
this?
waiting the whole time for there to be a dumb reveal where there's another guy and he's a puppet and the whole thing is puppets and he's just like moving them around like marionettes.
I would not put it past the movie.
No,
No, I thought for sure that was a possibility.
That leads into kind of why I had such a smirk on my face watching it, because I'm just like, I don't know what's like kind of happening. It's kind of weird.
What's he putting on her face? What's he doing? Is he making pancakes?
It's something very common in a lot of like, obscure 70s horror things that you eventually find and get into. You're just like, all right, now this is weird, right? Like, there's not a lot of movies like this.
Yeah, it's
right?
unique.
Sometimes it's not even good, but the point is that you felt like you watched something like unlike anything you've ever really seen.
Yeah.
Like you remember Tourist Trap as Tourist Trap, not like, oh, it's that Halloween ripoff. And then after I watched it, I was like, I don't know what it was. I just that movie charmed the pants off of me.
But
I like the tagline because it can literally be applied to any horror movie ever.
every year,
Young people disappear.
bouncing off that, I think like how we all had those different theories of like, oh, could it be this? Could it be that? I think the reason the end of the movie kind of disappoints is because the most obvious answer is what it is. And like you were saying, like you just feel ahead of the movie. And so like I was saying, there's no way it's that because that's just too obvious. And then Keegan, segueing into Keegan's...
going into Keegan's thoughts.
I've seen Charles Band movies before. I know
Keegan's no stranger to old Charlie Band.
when I saw that his name, when I saw it was Full Moon, I was like, oh, there's gonna be a doll in here. There's gonna be dolls, plural. They're mannequins. That's still a doll.
Counts.
It counts. It counts. The supernatural psychic powers thing did kind of catch me a little off guard. So when it started at the beginning, I wasn't certain if it was supposed to be like, oh, this house is haunted, or if it was gonna be like House of Wax, where it's like, okay, everything's just set up so it works really well. It doesn't make sense that these bottles are flying, like that was just a trap, but this is a Charles Band production. Around the 30-minute mark, I realized what the finale of the movie was gonna be. I realized what the twist was.
Literally, he remembered it better than I remembered it, and I've seen it. I'm not joking.
Said, okay, I'm placing my bet. This is the plot twist. This is the finale. We're gonna find this out
before the movie started.
Yeah, it was seriously like right on the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, it was around there.
And Keegan said it, and my reaction was, Keegan, listen, like I think that's very possible, but it's too obvious. It's just Psycho. Like that's just the Psycho plot twist.
Spoilers for Psycho.
I try to preserve the Psycho twist still.
For all those
Thrown in
people that
there.
have seen Tourist Trap but haven't seen Psycho, I'm like, oh, what? What?
You find out at like the 75-minute mark that the main character killed his brother and wife. Spoilers, sorry.
It would be one thing if Keegan just said, "Oh, that's him." Like that's the guy's the killer. That's easy. Anyone can guess
Anyone
that.
would guess.
That's the
Keegan-
thing you assume, and then it is just that.
But Keegan goes a step. This is the superpower part of it. He will guess the literal thing that happens. Like it's not just the generalistic. Oh, that's the guy. It is. Oh no. He's pretending to be the brother because his brother and his wife were cheating on him, and so he killed both of them.
And then
so
now
And you're just like, even I was like, was that the reason?
And this has happened so many times watching movies with Keegan where he'll throw something out like that. And I don't know why I still do this, but I usually have the same reaction like, no, Keegan, come on, that's too obvious. Like they're not just gonna do
Now
that.
that you say that, it totally makes sense that that'd be it. That's why it doesn't make sense that it'd be it.
Yes.
And that's the reason I watch bad movies that don't make sense and they have a plot twist that has no like build up for it. It's because it will catch me off guard every time because there's no way to
Oh yeah,
prepare
because it's a
for it.
complete shock. Like that's the thing with this movie is like it when you say what you think the twist is, it's like, oh okay, so yeah, they're setting it up here. That makes sense as the twist. But if it's a complete shock, it's just, oh, they just decided out of nowhere that it was reindeer and they're killing people or whatever.
I think the movie, if to really like stick the landing, if it wanted to be super memorable, I think it needed a twist. Like he was a puppet the entire time.
Yes.
If that was the ending, I think it would be much more memorable.
Charles Band,
If he directed it instead of
If
producing
he
it.
was
kept going in, just be like, let me ghost direct.
producing it.
Let me ghost. You give me credit though.
No, Charlie Band, go away.
When the credits start rolling, it says ghost directed by me.
This is a small thing, but I noticed that the specific Blu-ray that we watched was a terrible scan. There was places where it warbled, like it almost looked like they scanned the film in wrong. So like there's like the frame looks like it jumps forward at you almost.
Like there is a sense of predictability to it, and I think it needed an extra thing to kind of make it like, wow, like that would have made it a classic. And honestly, like a lot of the ones that aren't classics have that. It's like, yeah, well they're missing, the spider walk scene from The Exorcist. They're missing the head spin. They're missing the thing that makes it stand out and is a classic.
I think that something that is to this movie's credit is that it's kind of just missing that. Like I think if it had
Yeah. It had that memorable thing.
So you mentioned he doesn't have full control of his powers. If at the end, all the dolls of the people he killed ripped him apart, that would be a memorable ending, and it would also be emotionally satisfying because it's like, oh, he can't control his powers.
Instead,
and
she
all of
just
his
hits him with an
victims-
axe.
Also, I'm lying. This movie's ending's great because it ends with the greatest
The last shot is great. That was really, really good.
So it's just the girl driving away from the bad guy's house, and she has all of her friends as dolls just in the background.
She just took them back. She's like,
I'm
they're
taking
mine.
it back. They're mine.
And it freeze frames on it.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I think it definitely needed something like Keegan was saying with the main bad guy specifically, because like everything had kind of been like fun stuff was happening, but like nothing that was like, oh, that's like this is why people watch this movie. It's like this is the memorable scene in it.
All of the characters probably could have used a little bit more characterization. I think the villain was good.
This is for you.
No.
No. It doesn't matter. It's time. The party's over.
Yeah.
The way he emphasizes words weird is bizarre.
These are so lifelike.
Yeah, my brother got pretty good at making those figures.
Your brother made these?
He got so good they hired him away from me. Folks out in the city did. He's out there still making dummies for one of them wax museums.
Like I like the reveal with the friend being a doll the entire
Yeah,
time.
that was great.
You know,
That
because I was
great.
waiting for something with him because they did like a vague thing with how he got in that situation.
He can move the mannequins with his mind, and so you're like, well, technically, if he really wanted to fuck with somebody, he could get away with that. So the fact that they did do that, you're like,
That was a clever use of,
it's
of
a clever
the
use
premise.
of the premise. Yeah.
The one point in the movie though where I was just against it was just with her at the end, just like I guess I'm gonna pick up this axe and hit him with it.
Yeah.
Because it was like the most clear-cut, obvious thing
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
where it was
yeah,
literally
it's
like
obvious
there's
thing.
an axe on the floor and you're like, if I was in there, I would take the axe and hit him. And it's like I am in there and I take the axe and hit him. And it just works. And that's it. Like even though he like kind of was ahead of her at all points, like he was in control of the whole house. So it's like
he just didn't
at all points in the movie, anytime she tried to do anything, a doll would hit her with something or whatever.
another version of that scene, she picks up the axe and she breaks the doll of the wife.
That's what I thought she was gonna do.
One of my early thoughts when I saw her pick up the axe was she was gonna hit through the doll of the wife into his chest. And I was gonna be like, okay, that's cool, they're reunited.
Yeah.
It's still a dumb axe kill, but it's a smarter dumb axe kill.
So just hitting him in the back, and he's like, oh frick, was there an axe in this room? I saw it with my own 2 eyes and just decided to forget about it in 2 seconds.
This would be prime for a really interesting remake.
A remake of this movie would be so terrible. Like, if it got made, it would be so terrible.
I think the problem with doing a remake is that tourist traps like this,
They don't exist.
going to see a tourist trap in itself is a novelty now.
Well, that's the thing, you stumble across it not as a comment, they would say, oh, it's one of these old things.
Or you can do like a modern one that's like, it's still the modern version of a tourist trap, like an aquarium or something. You do something similar to
Yeah,
that.
aquariums in the 70s, dude.
No, I know, but like that's like what a tourist trap still is now.
And like you can still do the tourist trap idea, but the way you go about it is different. Like maybe someone is looking for, oh, this is closed down place, and I remember from my childhood.
They're geocaching.
Yeah, or whatever
like
it is.
you could do one where it's like, oh, it's like explorers finding this old abandoned one, and they're going in there, and it's like, oh, the dolls are possessed. The problem with all the modern ones is cell phones exist.
Maybe in the middle of nowhere, maybe.
Well, no, that's the problem. Is even in the middle of nowhere, cell phones still work now.
Not mine. Have to be something like a Stranger Things-esque throwback movie where it's set in the 70s still.
Could be set in the 70s, yeah.
Or you
That
could
is
even
true.
set it in like the 90s, because then in the 90s you're like, oh, their cell phone doesn't work and they have a brick. You're like, okay, it's the 90s. That makes sense. The biggest problem with a modern horror movie is cell phones exist.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh my god, there's a slasher villain. I'm gonna call the police.
Just take a picture, start recording. I got you on fucking video, you fuck.
Yeah, it's
You're
like,
going on fucking
Delete it.
TikTok.
and it's one of those things of 911, what's your emergency? There's a guy with a knife running around this house killing people.
That's why the scariest movie would be they call 911 and the operator is also in on the conspiracy.
Or yeah, you could just make the operator stupid. And they're just like, you're pranking me.
Also,
seems late.
Oh yeah, I'd recommend it. You know, it's a hidden gem. If you've already seen a bunch of horror movies and you haven't seen this one, go for it. Like, it's just a fun time. It's a fun little time capsule.
Listen to him, he's got pretty eyes.
I would also recommend it. I think it was a fairly well done 70s horror movie. Weird twists and turns, and there's definitely stuff to enjoy.
I would definitely recommend it. If you think 70s horror is just cool, then you're not going to be disappointed. It's as simple as that. I'm just a big sucker for that thing. And in general, we all kind of like stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we just love the aesthetic of it.
The texture, we gush about it a lot, but just like the feeling that you have when you're watching an old grimy 70s movie. The film stock was gross. The grain is everywhere. Half the shots aren't in focus, and there's something that
And everything on the screen is dirty, like the
yes,
walls,
the people. Especially for low budget horror, it's just like when you watch movies of that time, they all have that same just kind of grimy feel. Standout popular one is Texas Chainsaw
Oh yeah,
Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw, you look at it and you're just like, ugh, I'm getting AIDS watching it.
Yeah, I would say if you like Texas Chainsaw, this is another one in that vein.
It's much more lighthearted. I don't want to say it's a lighthearted horror movie. Like I wouldn't let like a.
Going. It's not like
I would say it's like Evil Dead 1 and like Texas Chainsaw.
I would say it's way more mellow than Evil Dead 1.
I'm just saying it's got a sense of humor.
There's blood. Like
There's not a lot of blood.
Think of is the pipe. The actual good gag is when the pipe goes in him and it leaks But even that is nowhere near the amount that.
And there's no nudity.
No.
Which surprised me and impressed me.
I don't want to say that if going by like the kind of the metric that we're using for Bending the Killer thing, it is a much more lighthearted horror movie than some of the other things that you could watch. So if you want something that has the texture of the 70s without the gore, if you're it's
probably gonna be the lightest spooky of the week.
Yeah, and it's not like the ending is not horrifying. Like you're not gonna leave it feeling gross. It's just kind of a fun spooky movie.
It's a good background movie.
It's like psychological.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. The best setting for this movie is like a Halloween party where people can watch it and not watch it.
Yeah, and you just put it on, watch it, not watch it.
Stick your whole hand in the guacamole bowl.
You're the only one that does that. You're just like,
Thanks for watching. Come back next week when we got more spooky.
Oh, we got more spooks coming your way.
This video was
One
brought
more.
to you by you. You actually funded this video in this new studio, so we really need you guys to get on the Patreon because these soundboards are really expensive.
Yeah,
We got to not buy a new set. These already absorb a lot of sound.
You gotta buy more. They keep.
I'm gonna have to do some math to figure out how many we need because that was like $30 that we just blew through in one video.
$30,000 we just blew through. Yeah.